This is Mac OS Ken.
Prices go up, a price target goes up, and Apple drops 3 trailers in Hall H. It is Monday, the 27th of July, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by CoverOn. Safeguard your identity and save up to 76% off with code MacOS at coveron.com/macOS. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Looking over news for today, one thought keeps coming to mind. Every raised price gives others cover for raising prices. Why spend time on a show about Apple news talking about Google raising the price of the Pixel 11 line? Partly because of the reason they're doing it, and partly because every raised price gives others cover for raising prices. For example, Apple raising the price of iPhone, assuming it does, which everyone assumes it's gonna. The next web says Google, the former first name in search, has confirmed that its upcoming Pixel 11 phones will cost more than their predecessors. Doing the damage,
Ragnarok.
In an interview with 9 to 5 Google published on Thursday, says the piece, Shakil Barkat, Google's VP of Devices and Services, said the company had shielded customers from supply fluctuations for as long as possible, but the economics have now fundamentally shifted. The entire Pixel family, including the Pixel Watch, will see price adjustments rolled out dynamically to match what Barkat called supply realities. And yeah, the price increases on Google's side are real. Probably. The exec pointed to Morgan Stanley data that had a gigabyte of RAM going from just under $3 in 2025 to $12 in 2026. For a flagship phone shipping with 16 gigabytes of RAM, the piece says, that drives the bill of materials from about $45 per handset to about $192, according to the Morgan Stanley numbers. Hey, can I ask a question? Not to be a jerk, but if a Google exec is saying we have to raise prices because our prices have gone up, why is he pointing to what Morgan Stanley says it's probably costing companies like Google? I mean, he's a Google executive talking about a phone that Google builds. Maybe he could just tell us what it's actually costing Google. Leaked info has the next round of Pixels going up by about $100 each. We'll know officially in about 3 weeks. The company's Made by Google event is set for the 12th of August in New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. 3 times if you count the time they called it New Amsterdam. Why spend time on a show about Apple news talking about Roku raising the price of its streaming devices? Partly because of the reason they're doing it, and partly because every raised price gives others cover for raising prices. Say, Apple raising the price of Apple TV, the hardware. I know they already did that, but there's bound to be a new one with new features and a new processor at some point. Isn't there? Engadget ran a piece over the weekend that had Roku raising its prices across its hardware lineup. According to the report, Roku Ultra, its top-of-the-line streaming device, now costs $150, up $50 from its old price of... I'm no good at math. Meanwhile, the most basic Roku streaming stick will now set you back $40 instead of $30. Doing the damage?
Ragnarok.
And they thought they'd be able to steer clear. During the company's last earnings call, says the piece, Roku CEO pointed out that his firm's doodads use significantly less memory than competitors, and that the parts used to make Roku devices cost less than rivals' more premium components. The way Engadget sees it, Roku's price hikes show that the company is also feeling the effects of the memory crunch when it comes to its first-party devices. I'm not saying that's not the case. I will say The price of the nearly 3-year-old Apple TV, plus the price of nearly everything else going up, that does give Roku some cover, doesn't it? Now here's one that I'm not sure is going to affect Apple, but it might. Bloomberg ran a piece Friday that had Qualcomm planning to raise prices on its smartphone processors by a double-digit percentage starting the 1st of September. The report says Bloomberg sent the bad news by a letter last Friday, doing the damage
Rock.
like the rest of the tech industry, says Bloomberg. Qualcomm is suffering from historic supply shortages, a crunch that is hitting everything from smartphones to supercomputers to vehicles. A massive surge in AI data center construction has placed a strain on production of memory chips and other semiconductors, but it's also made more prosaic components difficult to obtain. Man, I can use some prosaic right about now. Oh, wait. I was thinking of something else. I say this may affect Apple, though I'm honestly not sure. In a press release in late 2023, Qualcomm announced that it had entered into an agreement with Apple to supply Snapdragon 5G modem RF systems for smartphone launches in 2024, 2025, and 2026. Did Apple lock in a low price, or do they just get first dibs? And will it matter to the consumer? I mean, every raised price gives others cover for raising prices. Apple's probably already got the Qualcomm processors it needs for the 18 Pros and iPhone foldables. Of course, the consumer-level iPhone 18 isn't expected to launch in 2026. Is it just me, or do things feel sort of off the rails? From rising prices to a rising price target, TipRanks ran a short post late last week that had Morgan Stanley raising its target on Apple shares by a whopping $4. For this, you pick up a pen. According to the post, the bank sees Apple's fundamentals as very strong. Morgan Stanley's looking for Apple to beat June quarter expectations by a little bit and offer September quarter guidance that's slightly better than anticipated. That said, they don't seem to know how investors should handle what's coming. According to TipRanks, Morgan Stanley sees the tactical setup into earnings as neutral or tougher, with shares trading near all-time highs, adding that this requires zero blemishes across the board. They sound kind of iffy, don't they? And yet the firm maintains its overweight rating on Apple's shares. Morgan Stanley used last week's note to raise its price target on the shares from $360 to $364. Kinda cray. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, CoverOn, a single service to protect your identity and finances. As Mac users, we used to think that cyber threats were things that concerned other people with other computers. We also, all of us, used to think there was a difference between online threats and real life. These days, online threats threaten our homes, our money, how we're perceived in real life, because online is real. CoverOn is your defense for all of it. CoverOn provides all-round protection against identity theft. That includes credit monitoring, dark web surveillance, security alerts, and identity theft recovery, which is huge. It also includes a range of insurance coverage, from cyber extortion to home title to online fraud. It is comprehensive identity theft and cyber protection brought to you by Nord Security, a name you have trusted for years. We'll talk more about CoverOn throughout the week, but check them out for yourself. Find out more and use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/macOS. Don't wait for the worst to happen. One scam can cost you everything. Use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/MacOS. COVERON. Coveron, a single service to protect your identity and finances. Use code MacOS for up to 76% off at coveron.com/MacOS. Two surprising release candidates from Apple to end the week last week. 9to5Mac says the Cupertino company hit developers with 7th release candidates for macOS Sonoma 14.8.8 and macOS Sequoia 15.7.8. You probably think I'm kidding, but I am not. The release candidates, which hit Friday, came just 4 days after the 6th RCs. Same notes as they ever were. For each, Apple says the update provides important security fixes and is recommended for all users. You know, eventually. I saw something somewhere that stated as fact that the next round of OS updates would or will hit this week. Though I wouldn't be so bold. With release candidates for blank OS 26.6 seeded to developers last week, final releases this week seem to be somewhere between possible and probable. We'll wrap the day with 3 trailers from Apple by way of San Diego Comic-Con. As had been reported ahead of time, Apple had a 2-hour panel at SDCC's Hall H this past Saturday. That is the phenomenally big house where trekkers trek and Avengers assemble. Apple dropped 3 new videos during the panel. We'll start with the most exciting, which sadly is also the farthest away time-wise. Apple TV issued a press release over the weekend teasing its series adaptation of the William Gibson novel Neuromancer and dropping a teaser for it. According to the release, the 10-episode series follows a damaged, top-rung super hacker named Case, who is thrust into a web of digital espionage and high-stakes crime with his partner Molly, a Razor Girl assassin, as they pull off a heist on a corporate dynasty with untold secrets. The action in the teaser's as fast as a zigzag blipvert. Some of you know what I'm talking about. They get the style, they get the grit. The special lady friend said the other day she can't wait to hear the kids complain about how much they're ripping off The Matrix. She's funny and probably not wrong. The first 2 episodes of Neuromancer hit Apple TV on Friday, the 22nd of January, so you got a bit of time to wait. The teaser is up now on YouTube. Hey, you want to geek out on marketing mystery for a moment? Well, we're going to anyway. Part of Apple's Hall H time was devoted to the upcoming John Cena feature, Matchbox, the movie. Describing this one, another Apple TV press release as the movie, Matchbox, the movie, is an action-packed, globe-trotting adventure about a group of friends since childhood who have their lives upended when undercover CIA agent Sean, their long-absent former leader, returns to their small town and unwittingly gets them embroiled in a frantic international pursuit to save the world. They called themselves the Matchbox Gang when they were kids because they used to play with Matchbox cars. And just in case you haven't picked up on it, the movie, Matchbox the movie, is inspired by the iconic Mattel toys, Matchbox the Toys. Here to me is the marketing mystery. This movie was not cheap. You don't get John Cena for cheap. Also, lots of explosions. Also, it's not just based on Mattel toys. It's produced by Skydance Media and Mattel Studios. They'll be looking for something like a Barbie movie out of this. Oh, they're not going to get it, but they'll be looking for something like it. The mystery. Matchbox, the movie, is premiering globally on Apple TV. No standees in movie theater lobbies. No posters. Probably no trailers ahead of other big movies. No movie theaters, for crying out loud. But they spent time in Hall H plus production money plus John Cena money making this thing happen. Is Matchbox the movie just a giant push for Apple TV, the service? We may get as tired of Matchbox the movie promotions as we did promotions for F1 the movie. Right now, though, it strikes me as a marketing mystery. Matchbox the movie roars onto Apple TV on Friday, the 9th of October. Matchbox the movie, the trailer, is up now on YouTube. And finally today, a trailer for a returning Apple TV series. The third peaked at Comic-Con over the weekend was for the second season of the sci-fi thriller series Dark Matter. In a third press release, the Cupertino streamer says Season 1 followed a physicist, professor, and family man who, one night while walking home on the streets of Chicago, is abducted into an alternate version of his life. Wonder quickly turns to nightmare when he tries to return to his reality amid the mind-bending landscape of lives he could have lived. There's info about Season 2, but I'm not going to tell you because spoilers. Season 1 is available to stream now on Apple TV. The Season 2 trailer is up now on YouTube, or you could just wait for the series' return, and you will not be waiting long. The second season of Dark Matter starts its run on Friday, the 28th of August. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Coveron. Safeguard your identity and save up to 76% off with code macOS at coveron.com/macOS. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.